My fiance has been lying for months. I need real advice, please. Original post. So, I 29 male, met my now fiancée, 26 female about 3 years ago through mutual friends of ours. She was very innocent, didn't drink much, didn't smoke, never did drugs. We had a really good relationship and everything was going great, hence why I asked her to marry me. We moved in together around the same time too. She has a daughter, 7, that lives with us too. Anyway, around 6 months ago, my fiancée started going out drinking with her friends often, which is totally fine. I always offered to pick her up if she was stuck too. However, it became more and more often, from once every 2 months to every single weekend without fail. Then she started staying out overnight, but she always told me where she was and was always back around 9 a.m. I started to worry because this just wasn't usual behavior for her. Even though she told me where she was, it was very unusual for her to act like this. So, cut forward to maybe 3 months after the first time she stayed out all night, she goes out with her friends and again stays out all night. This time though, she didn't come home in the morning, and there was also no contact from her at all. So naturally, I contacted her friend Pam via phone, who she was out with. They said, we left her at the bar with her friend Luke, 26 male, who I had never heard of before. This guy had never been mentioned. My fiancée was the type of girl to never be around another guy. I didn't know this guy's full name, so I couldn't contact him. Her friend who I was on the phone with also said, I have something else to tell you too. Your fiancé has also been doing drugs for a while. We left her with the guy who she buys it off. I'm sorry. So my head started spinning. I was worried about where she was, but also what she was doing. Again, this was a girl that would never ever be near another guy and never do drugs, so I was perplexed. About 12 noon, after I had exhausted all my options contacting all of her friends and family to ask if they had seen her, all saying they had not, I started to get really worried. Maybe rashly, I contacted the police to report her missing. At this point, I was on the verge of tears as I thought she could be dead. It may have been irrational, but I was genuinely worried. Once I had officially reported her missing, I then had to contact her parents and tell them the same thing. She didn't come home, I cannot contact her, etc. They were wailing down the phone, crying and screaming. Another 3 hours passed, her mom constantly ringing for updates when my fiancé decided it was time to come home. She walked through the door, and I was relieved but also furious. I walked over to her, gave her a hug, but demanded to know where she had been. I felt like I deserved to know. She told me I stayed at Pam's house, the friend of hers I had spoken to hours before. I knew this wasn't true as I had had a conversation with Pam, so I told my fiancé, I know you are lying. She said, I swear down on my daughter's life that is the truth. I said again, I know you are lying as I have spoken to Pam, and she has confirmed that she left you in the bar. I asked, who were you with when Pam left you? She said, I was alone. I promise, I was alone. Again I said, I know this is a lie. You were with Luke. Who is he to you? She said, how do you know? I said, Pam told me. Anyway, I won't go into specifics of the whole conversation, but she continued to lie. She said she was only with Luke for 20 minutes. Then it was an hour. Then it was, I don't know how long. She eventually told me that she stayed at her friend Laura's house. I said, is that the actual truth? She said, I promise that is the truth. So, being the silly man I am, I believed her. I also asked her about the drugs. She lied, said she had only done them twice, and she regretted it both times. I knew this wasn't true due to my conversation with Pam. She still, to this day, tells me it's just twice, but the fact her friends rang me and told me that she is always doing drugs leads me to believe that only doing them twice isn't true. Anyway, cut to 2 weeks ago, we were out with her friends. I had a few too many drinks, and I asked her friends, where did my fiancé stay that night? I asked 3 of her friends, and all 3 of them told me a different story. Not one of them told me the same story she told me. So I brought it up to my fiancé, probably the wrong time to do it when I was drunk. I said, I asked all of your friends where you stayed that night. All of them told me a different version of events. What is the truth? One of her friends, Rose, said she stayed at her house. Another friend, Tina, said she stayed at Luke's, the guy's house. And the third friend said she stayed in her mom's shed. So, I questioned her on it. I said, are any of these stories true? She said, yes, one of them is. I asked which one, and she said she stayed in her mom's shed. Now personally, I said I don't believe her. I asked why she would need to lie about where she stayed if she stayed in her mom's shed. She said, I didn't want to disappoint you. She said she thinks she was spiked and couldn't remember where she lived, but could remember her mom's address. This is the story she has stuck with. She stayed in her mom's shed, she had only done drugs twice, and she was only with Luke for a bit but didn't stay at his house. So now, on Monday of this week, she said she is going out with her friends on Saturday. Naturally, I am worried about this. After everything that has happened, I am worried, but I said, no problem, go out, enjoy yourself. Inside, I don't really want her to go out, but I am not here to control her and tell her she can't go out. I just asked her respectfully, after everything that has happened, if she could please come home after her night out. I feel like this isn't a big ask, as my thought is you would want to come home to your fiancé. She tried to tell me, from her point of view, that if she stays at her friend's house and tells me, it isn't a big deal, as she is telling me where she is. I tried to explain to her that, after everything, I have some trust issues. She just laughed at me, laughed directly in my face. She said she understands that I have trust issues, but said if she is having a good time with her friends, she doesn't want to come home just because I want her to be at home. She isn't going to ruin her night out because I want her home. I felt a lot like my feelings are invalid because she wants to have fun with her friends, and I would be getting in the way of that. I am not a controlling person. I don't have access to her phone. I don't know her code for it either. I have never looked through her phone, but since this has all happened, she is ultra protective of her phone, which she never was. She is always on it, texting or messaging 24/7. The phone does not leave her side. She even puts it under her pillow when she sleeps at night to keep it protected. Also, she deletes messages on her phone often too. I have seen her do it. She says it's part of her OCD, which I understand, but she is constantly deleting messages. I am not sure if I have just noticed it more because there is a lack of trust, but it feels like she is deleting messages constantly, multiple times a day. She will send a text, then immediately delete the text chain. It gives the impression that she is hiding something, even if that isn't her intention. In her words, she didn't lie about doing drugs. She evaded the truth. We had a conversation the day after she had done them, before I knew she was taking them. I said I would never do drugs again. I did them when I was a teenager. It doesn't appeal to me. And she said, I would never do them either. Just the day before, though, she was doing them, so her thought on it is she didn't lie. As I didn't directly ask her if she had done them, she just evaded the truth. So, my questions are, is it okay to not trust my fiancé? Is it normal to want her to come home after a night out? Is it wrong to not want her to lie about where she has been and who she has been with? Lastly, is it okay to feel uncomfortable that she is constantly on her phone, texting, messaging 24/7, and deleting all her messages? What should I do? My brain is telling me to leave the relationship, as it is so toxic. The lying, the deception, and the clear lack of respect for my feelings. My heart is telling me to stay with her. In all honesty, I love her. I love her daughter too. I see her as my own daughter and protect her as if she was my own too. Any advice, guidance, anything at all, please help me. Now for the top advice before reading the update. You don't trust her because she's not trustworthy. I'm sorry, but she's not the person you thought she was. Her behavior is absolutely unacceptable, and her lying ought to be a deal breaker. I know you love her, but you owe it to yourself to break things off with her. This is not the kind of woman you want to build a life with. Go back and reread your story, but pretend it's your brother or best friend telling it to you. What would you tell him to do? Deep down, you know the right answer here. The person you love doesn't exist. She's a fiction made up by the stranger you're looking at. Get some distance, social, physical, and emotional. Give yourself some space to find your footing. You say you're not a controlling person. That's great. None of us should try to control someone else, but you do control yourself. You need to get out of there now. Talk to your friends or family right now. It will get more painful if you put it off. Been there. Don't move ahead with wedding plans until you've resolved this. Don't risk getting her pregnant. If she pressures you, remember her lies and know that she's manipulating you. She doesn't respect you. I don't see how someone like her ever could. She's banging her drug dealer. Unless you're into that, leave. And he needs to get tested ASAP. Hey OP, my question to you is, do you want to be engaged to someone who is currently prioritizing partying over you or her daughter? Where is her daughter when she's out? Are you looking after the child? Ultimately, your fiancé is not being a responsible parent, and I'm guessing your initial assessment of her being innocent is incorrect. Unless she's randomly started hanging out with new friends, it's unlikely she's just decided to cut loose now. It also doesn't sound like you guys are spending time alone to date. Even if you decide to believe she isn't cheating on you, is this what you want in a relationship? If I'm getting the timeline right, it sounds like she started partying after you were engaged. Now for the little update. I have read through lots of comments, and some of them has made me think a lot. No, I don't want to be engaged to someone who goes out every weekend. Her daughter is with me when she is out partying. Yeah, I am seeing more and more that she is not the innocent fun girl I originally met. I am really genuinely not convinced she is cheating, even with all these comments saying she is. I do not want someone who is always going out, always lying, not even wanting to come home. You guys are right. Just a few months into the engagement, she started partying more and more frequently. She says she has a really good core group of mates that she never had before, and now she is making the most of it and going out with them. It feels a lot like she is prioritizing her friends over me and her daughter, which is bizarre. I think I need to remove myself from this mess. Hey mate, it's never easy having discussions like this, but for your own sanity, you need to talk. There is no reason to even mention whether or not she's cheating, as it's irrelevant. It's about whether you want to move forward or not with who she is starting to reveal herself to be. I'd even start the conversation by asking how she thinks the engagement is going and, with her newfound friends, if she still feels the same. You don't need to be the one that breaks it off, if that's what you want, but you definitely need to let her know this isn't what you're looking for. So the friends are new? Then she could have been sheltered, and that's why she seems out of control now. You mentioned drugs in the post. What drugs are we talking here? Your age difference is nothing. So yeah. If she's just found a bunch of new friends and hasn't experienced this before, that does explain the change. Appreciate your reply. Yours is one of the nicer comments rather than making assumptions. There have been some vile comments on here when I am really just asking for advice. I don't really have a lot of close mates as after school we all parted ways, hence why I posted here. We had a conversation this morning about things. I expressed my feelings and told her I feel uncomfortable about everything. She seemed to listen but is now very much so distancing herself from me. I asked her how she thinks the engagement is going, and she said it's fine. She did not talk about her new friend. Not once I brought it up, and she said, "You are just rehashing old dramas. I cannot change the past, can I?" Not all of the friends are new. Some of them have been in the background the whole relationship but are now more prominent. The drugs I was referring to was cocaine. I agree. I think with the friends and the things she hasn't experienced does explain a lot about what has happened. I am just struggling with what to do now. I feel isolated in my relationship, as she does what she wants, and my feelings are invalidated. Last story. My husband being the victim of revenge porn has destroyed our marriage. Ever since this happened, I, 29 female, have been sick. My husband, 30 male, has recently become the victim of revenge porn, and it has completely shattered my world. Explicit images of him were sent to several of our family members, friends, and even some of his colleagues. At first, when I confronted him, he told me that the images were old, from before we had ever met, and that someone from his past must have had access to them. I wanted to believe him, but some of the photos were clearly taken in our flat. The flat we moved into together after getting married. There was no way they could have been from before we met. When I pressed him further, he finally admitted that the images were recent. He told me that he met a woman on an online dating app and that, after they exchanged photos, she began extorting him. He said he panicked and kept sending her money to stop her from sending the pictures to anyone we know. What I didn't know was that he had been taking the money from our shared savings account, the account we had been building together to put a down payment on a house. By the time I found out, he had already given her £5,500, essentially everything we had saved. Once he had nothing left to give, she followed through on her threat and released the images anyway. The fallout from this has been devastating. I'm not just grappling with the fact that my husband was on a dating app behind my back, exchanging intimate photos with another woman, but also that he drained our savings and left us with nothing. The police have told us that whoever extorted him is not even in this country, meaning there's little chance of getting justice or recovering the money. My husband swears that he never met anyone in person and insists he didn't physically cheat on me, but I don't know if that matters anymore. The betrayal still feels enormous. We have been married for 2 years and together for 4, and we were carefully saving every penny for a future together, a house, maybe a family. Now it's all gone. Nearly everyone we know has seen or heard about the photos. My husband is humiliated, and I am beyond ashamed. I don't even know how to look people in the eye. My confession is that I can't stay in this marriage after everything that's happened. I just had to tell someone because the weight of this is crushing me. It's his shame, not yours. Remember that. Agreed. Married or not, faithful or not, she shouldn't be doing anything but packing. He didn't cheat. He just sent explicit photos to somebody random on the internet. That's cheating in my opinion. Plus, giving away all y'all's savings instead of fessing up? Like you throw all our money away and the photos were released anyways. Ugh, I'm sorry you're being caught up in this. He has shown to be deceptive and dumb. Leave him. If we're polling, here's one for leave him and never look back. Because you used pounds, I assume you're in the UK. I'm pretty sure there are revenge porn laws there. Look into filing a police report for the photos and the blackmail. Then look into a divorce lawyer. He was cheating. Also, if you contributed to that fund, somebody owes you the money back. Her or him. Doesn't matter. But get that money back. OP says the cops say the perp is in another country. From my own experience with UK cops, when someone did something illegal to me and then skipped the country, even if they have that person's home address, they're unwilling to do anything about it because of the paperwork, unless the crime is in the hundreds of thousands in damages. It's not revenge porn, it's extortion. It's literally crime organizations built around this process. They aren't real women. Most of these are set up in Asia, and this is what they do. Paying them is the worst thing you can do because they know you are an easy person to control. They will come back to him eventually asking for more. More threats. Countries can't do anything about it because all the crimes are from other countries. Think of this as the Indian scams for old people, where they tell them about banking errors and people send thousands to scammers just to find out the money is gone.